differences, where differences are settled with facts, stats, and debates. I'm your host, Rob Blocker. This is my co-host, aka Bigger Brother, Michael Adams. We got a lot of topics from the NFL to the NBA to cover today, so let's get started. Our first topic of differences is ESPN's power rankings this week for Week 6 consist of the New England Patriots, the Green Bay Packers, the Atlanta Falcons, the Denver Broncos, and the Cincinnati Bengals in that order. We'll start off asking the question with you, Mike. Do you agree with ESPN's power rankings, and what's yours?
I have those same teams in there, but I have the order a little different. But I agree with the rankings. I think New England should be number one because to me they have been playing the hottest and the best. Green Bay's definitely number two. Defensively, they are dominating. Cincinnati, I got them in number 3. They just beat a Seahawks team. No matter what the Seahawks record is, they're still the Super Bowl, not Super Bowl champs. They're still the NFC champs, Super Bowl champs from 2 years ago. And I have Atlanta 4, and I have Denver 5. Denver's offense is struggling very bad. They don't look good offensively, but defensively will keep them in the top 5. So I got New England, Green Bay, Cincinnati, Atlanta, and Denver.
Well, to be honest with you, there won't be any differences on this topic because my top 5 is more in line with yours. I would say New England at number 1, just because of that high potent offense. It's hard for me to see anybody beat them right now. You got to put up points or get to Tom Brady, which doesn't seem like a lot of people in the NFL can do. I got Green Bay number 2, and Rodgers just don't make mistakes. And right now, Cincinnati is kind of making a believer out of me. I got them at 3. That was a nice little comeback win versus Seattle. 20 unanswered points. Even at home is still impressive, given what Andy Dalton has done in the past. I got the Broncos at number 4. My Broncos at number 4. You know, they got defense. They're number 1 defense in the league, but the offense have been inconsistent. I like the way they put drives together, but they just need to do that for 4 quarters straight, and then I feel Denver will be pretty much either 1 or 2. And then last, I got 2 teams sharing 1 spot, and that's because Carolina had a bye, but I got Carolina and Atlanta. The reason why I got them both sharing 5th is because I'm not truly sold on Atlanta. And the reason I'm not truly sold on Atlanta is because I feel their schedule shows their record. So they had a weak schedule, so they're 5-0. I'm not saying they're not a weak team. I'm not saying they are a weak team, but I just don't think they're as good as people are hyping them up to be, even ESPN. And that's why I disagree. ESPN has them number 3. I barely got them in my top 5. I got them number 5 because they still one of the 6 undefeated teams in the league, but I'm not that high on Matt Ryan, as we all know.
If we put away I'm not even going to say rankings about Atlanta. The reason I put them up there is just because even though the schedule's not that hard, they still playing the games, to me, very good. I think besides the Washington game, they've been playing the season really good. They had a comeback from behind on a good Giants team. They had a comeback from behind on Dallas. Even though they didn't have Romo and Bryant, you still got to give them credit.
Are the Giants really? You said they had a comeback team.
I think don't forget the Giants can be 5-0 right now.
To me, everybody keeps saying that too, but the Giants also had to have a last-second drive versus a 49ers team that's really bad.
Let me tell you this though. You know how everybody was on Dallas at the beginning of the year. If it wasn't for Eli Manning's dumbness, they would have won that game. They should have won that game. Eli Manning tried to pass the ball in the goal line, and they almost lost. I mean, they almost could have scored, and Jennings was about to score, and he didn't even. Hold on. Jennings was about to score, and he told him not to score. That would have been game over.
Well, that's my knock on Eli. That's why I say Eli's not a top 5 quarterback, because you said, well, if Eli wouldn't have did dumb stuff, I could watch about 10 Giants games a season and say, well, what if he wouldn't have did this? They probably would have been.
And they should have beat Atlanta. They had a 4th quarter lead then.
Well, 2 teams that
so that's what Giants
will get exposed.
Giants. I think Giants will be in the playoffs this year. They want to win a division.
But to me, I don't know how good Atlanta is. You barely beat Philadelphia, who having identity issues on offense. You barely was beating the Cowboys, who had a bunch of sections in there. Don't even get me started on Brandon Wheat. I don't care if Dez Bryant and Romo was missing. If they had a valuable quarterback behind center when they played the Falcons, they would have beat Atlanta because they was running all over them. And then you just go into overtime. You had to get that bum Kirk Cousins to throw you a pick to win the game. I just don't see how people think that this is going to be winning recipe when they play teams like Arizona, Seattle. Like when you play playoff caliber teams, Green Bay. Like I just don't see Atlanta and Green Bay matching up.
But that's what power rankings are. Okay, but that's what playoff rankings are for. Because not playoff rankings, power rankings are for because it's who's hot now. I agree with you. Down the season, Atlanta may start to fade. But right now, I think there should be ahead of Denver. Because since you wanted to talk about struggling, Denver has been struggling.
Denver struggled on the offensive side.
I'm saying they haven't been blowing people out either, though. And they haven't been playing high caliber teams.
If you watch some Denver games, example, week 2 versus the Chiefs. Yeah, we was kind of struggling 24-17, but when we needed to go down and score, Manning drove down the field in 2 minutes. In a 2-minute offensive style and score. So the reason I'm not that much worried about Denver is because you see the glimpses of Denver. They score, they drive, and they stall drives when they need to. Like when the defense need a rest, Manny keep them on the sideline for about 8 minutes. When they need to score, he scores. But it's just they're not doing it consistently like people are accustomed to. They're not scoring 30 to 40 points.
They've been struggling also though. They struggled versus Baltimore. They struggled versus Chiefs. Minnesota should have beat them. Minnesota, Teddy Bridgewater, inconsistency. You could tell he's a second-year quarterback because they should have won that game, and also they should have the Raiders game.
Okay.
The Raiders game was close.
So week 6. So week 6 is upon us this Sunday. So we'll see which one of these teams will fall out of the top 5.
Denver real test is gonna be against Green Bay. That's the game of the year. Peyton Manning versus Aaron Rodgers.
We'll see. I still say Peyton Manning versus Tom Brady, but that's another debate for another day. We will move on to the next topic, and we're going to stay on rankings, but we're going to move from NFL to the NBA. The season is upon us in about 2 weeks, and who do you think are the preseason favorites for the NBA this year? First, give me your first top 4 in the East, and then give me your top 4 in the West.
See, with the NBA, we know it's a lot of games, but the NBA is different from the NFL. You know what teams are going to be there at the end. So right now, I do have the Cavs just because they're the East Conference champs. They have the best player in the world, and they also signed Kevin Love. They got Mo Williams as a good backup, and don't forget I'm a big Kyrie fan, and he'll be back. I have the Bulls, even though the East is terrible to me, so I got the Bulls as second. I don't see a team ahead of them. I have the Hawks at third. They're still a really good team. I have the Hawks. And I have the Wizards there, and no, I don't have your Heat in the top 4. And I'll give you my West really fast before you do it.
Go figure.
Of course, I got the champs there. You have to beat them. To me, you have to beat them. They have everyone coming back besides David Lee, but he wasn't that big of a factor. I have the Spurs. I will put the Spurs in there just because I didn't know they had David West, so that would be big. That would be big. I have the Thunder because Kevin Durant will be back, and I've gained respect for Russell Westbrook over the last season. And I will probably say he may be the best point guard in the league, if we want to argue about that. And then I have Clippers and Rockets at 4th and 5th. Them 2 teams, it's kind of tough. Dwight Howard's big for the Rockets, but you never know his injury problems. And the Clippers is just, to me, they're a seasoned team, so I don't really respect them as much. But let's see what yours are.
First off, that list was laughable, really laughable, because you just say you don't got, to me, the tie for the second best team in the East in the top 4. My East looks similar to yours, but way different. It's the Cavs, the Bulls, the Heat, and the Wizards. I will never have the Hawks in the top 3 because the Hawks would have got swept last year if John Wall wouldn't have broke his hand at 5.
So the Hawks wasn't the number 1 seed last year?
What did they get them? They would have got swept versus the Wizards.
They lost to the best player in the world.
They would have got swept by the Wizards if John Wall wouldn't have broke his hand. They won game 1 by 16 points in Atlanta. Jeff Teague wasn't a factor. Then John Wall go down and get hurt.
But don't forget John Wall. Don't forget John Wall came back in Game 5.
I don't care if he came back. He shouldn't have came. He had 5 fractures in his hand. So him coming back, he wasn't.
Game
John
6.
Wall,
They lost.
Don't stop bringing up. He came back. He shouldn't have came back because he wasn't healthy. When he was healthy, they wouldn't have beaten him. With a healthy John Wall, the Hawks had no shot. Because the Hawks, first off, I think
they still would have beat him if John Wall wouldn't have got hurt.
The Hawks are too small down low. And then, besides, if Korver's shot not on, he can't do nothing else. And the Hawks showed that, or a few teams shut him down and showed that. So the Hawks, I mean, I would be shocked. I don't know. They might be 6, 7 seed this year, 8 seed maybe. Like, I just wasn't sold on them. And out West, you are funny. Out West, the Spurs are the best team in the West. Better than the defending champs. To me, we're going to.
It's going to take them a while to gel. It's going to take them a while to gel.
They already gelling in preseason. Popovich is the coach. Don't forget that. OKC is number 2 because Westbrook and Durant will dominate this year. They will average over 120 points a game on the offensive side of the ball with Billy Donovan there. Golden State is number 3, and that's by default to me. Like I said, that title run last year was just. I don't want to call it a fluke, but I'm gonna call it what it was.
Everyone's hating on the Warriors.
It was the biggest fluke to me. I would say. In finals history, that was the best cake run set up for a team. When you have to play the Rockets in the conference finals,
like Stephen Curry said, it's not their fault that they were healthy.
Still, if you would have had to play the Clippers in the conference finals, you'd just be like, God, I'm just shaking my head. The conference finals was the Rockets and the Warriors.
How is that the Warriors' fault that the Clippers couldn't do their business against the Rockets?
If y'all going into this season saying that the Warriors is number one because they beat the Rockets in the conference, you want to talk about beating teams. The Wizards would have beat the Rockets in 5 or 6. Like the Wizards would have.
The East is terrible.
Stop. The Wizards would have beat the Wizards would beat the Rockets in 5 or 6. Who's gonna stop John Wall?
I will say this: as long as LeBron James is in the East, nobody's coming out of the East.
Okay, we'll see.
The only team I can see beating the Cavs is the Bulls.
It's the Bulls who lost them in 6. Couldn't even.
If the Bulls can't do it, nobody can do it.
Well, we'll see. And then the Clippers, I got them by default for it because I don't trust the Clippers. One thing I do trust, though, is Doc Rivers. And they got Paul Pierce there now. I think that's going to be a good help. And Lance Stevenson. Paul Pierce is going to show them how to win because that's what he did for a young cast. He showed them how to put the team on his back. Even if they don't do good in the season, this year I'm saying watch out for the Clippers because Doc Rivers and Paul Pierce, they have a championship type pedigree. And Chris Paul already is a competitor.
Lance Stevenson, I don't think he fits with this team. He fit with Indiana perfectly. Lance Stevenson is one of those players that had to fit with the system. He's kind of a head case.
Perfectly. Who did they have? George Hill was the
I'm
point
saying
guard. You don't think Chris Paul going to
fit with them perfect because look, they needed a defensive anchor. He was a defensive anchor, and then he wasn't. See, Lance Stevenson has to be set up in positions to be.
And that's what I'm saying. Chris
to
Paul
be isolated. No,
he's a perfect person.
Let me tell you this: he's more of a he has to be isolated. You have Chris Paul to isolate. You have Jamal Crawford. With the Pacers, you have no players who can do isolations besides Paul George.
And who do the Clippers have to do all isolations? That's
Jamal Crawford.
Jamal Crawford's the bench.
Chris Paul. No, I'm saying, but the Pacers had nobody.
And Chris Paul is the type of player that he chooses when he wants to beat you off the dribble, when he wants to do a one-on-one matchup. Jamal Crawford's off the bench, and Lance Stevenson starts.
Lance Stevenson can't come on a team where he's a spot-up shooter with the Clippers. That's what he would be.
Shooter. Because that's why the Clippers struggled last year, because they had Matt Barnes who can't shoot to save his life, and J.J. Redick's a spot-up shooter. You need the two guys.
Lance Stevenson is the type of player who has to have the ball.
Okay, and
to do isolations, and he fit Indiana perfect because they had no one.
What two guard have the Clippers had that can go one-on-one?
They haven't had a two guard like that.
And you need that, and that's what I'm saying. Lance Stevenson
knows that. Chris Paul dribbles the ball for at least 15 to 18 seconds.
That's when they set up the offense. But a few times when you need
the Clippers need a shooter like
J.J. Redick.
You know what the Clippers missing? You know what they missing? They're not missing nothing. DeAndre Jordan needs to learn how to shoot free throws, and they will win more games.
So that's the only thing DeAndre Jordan got to do is learn how to shoot free throws.
Learn how to shoot free throws.
So you're telling me J.J. Redick, some games don't have to go through.
Well, you're going to have bad shooting nights, but don't forget, a lot of the reason the Rockets came back last year in that Game 6 when they was down 15 in the fourth.
You don't want to know.
DeAndre Jordan was missing free throws.
Don't blame DeAndre Jordan. Let's talk about Blake Griffin and the closeout game. At halftime, he had 24 points. He finished the game with 29. They showed the last two games 4 through 7. 4 through 7. They showed that Blake Griffin only had an average of 7 points in the second half. That's what cost them to lose. Blake Griffin to me is a stat filler. He's not that good. He's a dunker, and he gets about 20 points, 15 rebounds, and everybody thinking he's doing good based off of stats. But you look at it, Blake Griffin is stat heavy, where he get like 15 of those points in the first half, and the second half you be like, man, where did he go? Then when you look at the final number, you see 20 and 16 when you wake up, and you think that this dude was killing, but then you see that he only had 4 points in the second half. Chris Paul versus the Rockets, single-handedly almost. Even though they won game 1 without Chris Paul, when he came back with a messed up hamstring, he single-handedly was willing that team to a 3-1 lead. Blake Griffin, to me, is overrated. He dunk a lot. He a prima donna, and everybody talking about he a top out for it. I need to see more from him. I don't think DeAndre Jordan is the issue. I think Blake Griffin is the issue.
I don't think is the issue. I think it's DeAndre Jordan. He needs to get his offense better, and he needs to shoot his free throws better. Defensively, he's perfect. But we'll talk about the NBA more as the season progresses. Those are our top 4. We're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay, so ESPN, every year they do your annual NBA rankings, top 500 players. This year, they had Kobe Bryant ranked 93rd. Do you feel the voters got it right with Kobe?
You know I'm the biggest Kobe fan. And I'm not going to be biased with him. He is getting older, so he's not a top 10 player anymore. But 93, that's just so disrespectful.
So if you had to rank Kobe, what would you rank?
Right now, I would rank Kobe a top 20 player. And let me tell you this. I know he's been hurt, so that's if you want to put that into it, I'll put him in top 35. But don't forget, his last full season, he averaged 27, 6 and 5, and he shot 46%, and that was in 2013 season. But even last year, he was averaging 22 points a game. He averaged 6 assists, and I think he only averaged like 3 rebounds. But he averaged 22 and 6 assists. And he got hurt. That's what sucks. So I see what they mean, what they going by. because the rankings don't go by your legacy, but I still think he's a top 35. If you put Kobe in there, I know he didn't play a lot, but he's number 35, I would say.
So going into this season, give me your top 5 players for 2015.
My top 5 players, okay. I'm going to give you LeBron, of course. That I think that'd be most people's. If you're a basketball fan, 90% of people's going to put him. Number 2, Anthony Davis. I think he's going to take a big step this year. Anthony Davis, I hope he can get MVP this year. I'm going to put him at number 2. Number 3, I'm going to put Stephen Curry, who should have got Finals MVP, last year's season MVP. I think he's the most unguardable player in the league, in my opinion. And then I'm going to put James Harden at number 4, because he got second to Russell Westbrook in scoring title, but I think he should get the scoring title because Russell Westbrook didn't play as many games, so his average was higher. So that's why I think they should have gave it to James Harden with that. And my 5th, I'm not going to do KD like that. I'm going to put KD at 5 and Russell Westbrook at 6. But I know he's top 5, but I put KD and Russell Westbrook together. But that's my top 5. Let me hear yours so I can.
So you might as well be on the panel on ESPN voters because you are disrespectful.
Okay, let's hear yours.
Not to your guy Kobe, but to the top 5. And I'm shocked that you, growing up being a Kobe fan, said top 35. I still say Kobe is the top 7 to 15 player in this league because I feel that way because I feel the new age NBA is soft. You ask me, you look at some of the top shooting guards, everybody going around talking about James Harden, Klay Thompson. All I gotta say is, where was Klay Thompson in the finals?
I hate to cut you off real quick. I'm gonna let you keep talking, but you gotta put in the fact that he was hurt last year. So that's why I say he's like 35.
Yeah, and that's one thing with me. Being injured, to me, doesn't diminish your skill if you've been in the off-season working and getting better, and I know that's what Kobe Bryant has done. To me, being injured does not, unless you was already on the border of being a good player, being injured doesn't diminish your injury. We could think of a lot of people who got injured, came back, and they just took off from where they took off from. Tom Brady is an example after he tore his ACL. Kobe's been injured, but Kobe's been in the league also for 20 years, and he never had injuries before that.
And when he's playing, he is a top player.
And I think that if you asking me, I think that if every night in and night out, I'm sorry, like Klay Thompson was my guy, but he got exposed last year in the playoffs. And I just don't see him as a shooting guard that, you know, if you need somebody to take over, he can take over. If his shot's clicking, that's good, but putting the ball on the floor, if he got somebody who athletic, they can stay in front of him. James Harden, I like him, but James Harden is a little Kobe-ish to me. When some games he 2 for 13. But one thing about James Harden that he does that Kobe really didn't do much, he also turns the ball over. James Harden, he holds the ball a lot, so he turns over. I know the offense goes through him, and I'm not diminishing his game, but I think that Kobe Bryant is 7 to 15 because on a night in and night out basis, I think he can compete with players like James Harden, Klay Thompson, still the Dwayne
at this age,
your top shooting guards. Because I mean, last year in the finals, who was guarding Klay Thompson? J.R. Smith. And let's just go back to his performance. He had one good game, and I think that was what, game 3 or 4?
Game two he had 35.
Game 2 he had 35. Every other game, I mean, for the most part, J.R. Smith, who not really known for defense, did a pretty good job guarding him.
Let me say one thing.
I just don't think J.R. Smith would be able to guard.
Let me say one thing. That's how you know how he played bad. He had 35 points in one game, and he only averaged 15 points in the series. Yeah. That's how you know he played bad.
So, and I'm saying I think Kobe could do more than that, even with a Lakers team that people feel aren't going to be that good, which I think is otherwise. And for my top 5 players, I just laughed at your list because what I think you did is you did what a lot of people doing in new age sports. You gave a lot of these young players a lot of pub already off of one season. Yes, I like Anthony Davis, but he's not in my top 5. My top 5 is LeBron, Durant, Westbrook, Curry, and then Harden. And I even struggle putting Harden there. I'm going to say Harden / Davis at number 5. And the reason why LeBron is still number 1 is because, you know, the Cavs to me won the playoff team before he got there. And yeah, they added Kevin Love, but Kevin Love's never made the playoffs. LeBron took them to the playoffs and then the finals. Durant, I think he's still number 2. Injury doesn't change that for me. Last year when he played in the 27 games he played in, he still balled down and averaged 26 a game. People forget about that. Number 3 is Westbrook, because to me Westbrook single-handedly almost brought a Thunder team to the playoffs after missing 15 games himself at the beginning of the season. And they still won 45 games. So what I tell people is, just think if Westbrook played those 15 games.
I'm saying Westbrook
at best, if they go 8-7, that means they won 53 games.
I'm telling you, this season I think Westbrook may jump ahead Curry as the best point guard in the league.
He did that last year already.
I think Curry's still the best. He got that championship. Curry got MVP.
I think Curry number 4. And I mean, I know a lot of people gonna say when they see this, Curry didn't play some games in the 4, yada yada yada. Well, my thing is, I'm not saying Matthew Dellavedova locked him up, but when his shot was struggling and he couldn't get to the hole because it was too compiled down there, he struggled. And what I'm saying is, when he play against an athletic point guard like a Rose or a Westbrook or even a Patrick Beverly, who we didn't have to face last year, when he faced those type of point guards, if his shot is not on, which you saw versus the Grizzlies to a certain extent, I don't know if he could get moving. He got moving because Conley is a smaller guard. But if his shot's not on and he's not able to get to the rack versus those other top guards, then I mean Curry, to me, the Warriors, they're a bunch of shooters. And once they
that's what everyone says. You can't win a championship with a bunch of shooters. Don't forget they're defensively sound.
A bunch of shooters in an unhealthy NBA. We're just gonna say that.
So they won a championship of being in an unhealthy NBA. So what do you say about the Heat then from 2 years ago? What do you say about your Heat? No, with LeBron and Wade.
Who they playing the championship though?
They played the Spurs they played the Spurs twice, and they played the Thunder.
And last time I checked,
was it an unhealthy NBA then?
Those two teams were healthy. The Eastern Conference was, and that's the thing. When Miami beat the Pacers in the conference finals, nobody was saying that Miami should have hit it. Miami shouldn't have struggled in the East. Even people like me was acknowledging Miami was going to get through the East because that year the East did have a few injuries. D. Rose was injured, so we said they was going to get because the Bulls was the team to test them. But when they got to the finals, they didn't play the Spurs without Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Ginobili. They was there. When the Warriors played the Cavs, I don't think they needed Kyrie and Love, but everybody else do. They wasn't there, and then
we gonna argue another day, but
we will.
They needed Love and Kyrie because look, LeBron was giving up after. He was giving up. He was dominating, but he was giving up in the fourth quarters of all game 4, 5, and 6.
We'll stay on topic. LeBron is number 1. Number 5, my number 5 is Harden/Davis. Davis is number 5 to me because I know he is bound to do big things, but I got to see more consistency. For instance, I got to see the Pelicans make the playoffs this year. To me, it's not.
Did they not make it last year?
Yeah, they was the AC, but to me, it's not a foregone conclusion they're gonna make the playoffs last year because you look at this year. Okay, they was the AC last year. Durant was hurt. This year, the Thunder ain't gonna be no AC. So what I'm saying is, yeah, the Blazers not gonna probably make it this year, but I gotta see if I'm not saying that the Pelicans are for sure spot because you look, his point guards can't stay healthy. Yes, Anthony Davis is a beast, but his team can't stay healthy. And then I think it's a lot of upcoming talent in the West that up and coming. You look at the Kings, people giving Anthony Davis all this credit. Right behind this top 5 is my guy Boogie Cousins at 6 or 7. You look up DeMarcus Cousins' stats, what he doing, how he control the paint. Y'all talking about Anthony Davis, y'all need to be aware of DeMarcus Cousins.
DeMarcus Cousins is a beast.
He is a beast. Draymond Green was able to take Anthony Davis out his element by making him shoot elbow jump shots. Now at 6'11" to me, you just
did you just know DeMarcus Cousins shooting more jump shots in preseason?
That's my option. DeMarcus Cousins, anytime you want to score on a block, he can. See, Anthony Davis was getting pushed out of the block and getting forced to shoot jump shots. DeMarcus Cousins shoot jump shots because sometimes big men like him, they become head cases where they think they guards. But DeMarcus Cousins, can't nobody in the NBA push him off the block. That's the difference. Like Dwight Howard even get pushed off the block.
But Anthony Davis does more things than him. Like defensively, Anthony Davis was in the running for Defense Player of the Year. You got to put that into.
Yeah, he was.
DeMarcus Cousins gets rebounds, but Anthony Davis gets blocks. He gets rebounds too.
And DeMarcus Cousins gets your best big man in foul trouble. So my thing is, if Anthony Davis was to guard DeMarcus Cousins, he can't defend like that, or he wouldn't be able to rebound because he'd probably be on the bench in foul trouble.
The thing about Anthony Davis, I will say this: if he's going to stay at the number 2 spot, he has to stay healthy. He always have knick-knack injuries, but I have him at 2. I think he's going to take a step up this year, and I think in a few years he's going to pass LeBron. Anthony Davis has a lot of potential.
And then Alvin Gentry talking about he want him to shoot threes. Like
Anthony Davis can shoot the ball.
He wants him to shoot threes.
Don't forget, last year all those games was close versus the Warriors. Them was close games.
What does that mean to me? They was up by 21 game and couldn't even pull it out.
I know that. Yeah, game 3 I actually saw that game.
And New Orleans, and they couldn't pull it out. So when people say all the games was close, I don't look at it as being close. I look at it as the Warriors controlled the whole games, and then the Pelicans just wasn't.
Yeah, no, that doesn't mean what I'm saying. The Pelicans, man, I think they're a point guard away. I don't like Drew Holiday as his point guard. I think they're a point guard away. Because I still think Eric Gordon has talent. Tyreek Evans pretty good. They're a point guard away. They have a Zeke. I think the Pelicans will make a step forward this year. They will have a home playoff series at 4th seed.
All right, now we'll see about that this year coming up. The season starts at approximately October 29th. So we got
October 29th, October 28th.
28th. So we got 2 weeks for the season to start. Now, next topic. Let's talk about a player who used to be in everybody's top 5 just 3-4 years ago. And that's Derrick Rose, who we know for the last few years have been injured with knee injuries, knick-knack injuries here and there, hamstring, you name it, Derrick Rose pretty much has had it. And this last weekend training camp, he got an orbital fracture in his face. What are you expecting from D Rose this upcoming season? What do you think is going to be a good season for Derrick Rose fans or people who are rooting for Derrick Rose? What do you think is going to be a good season for Rose? What do you expect out of him?
You know, Derrick Rose is another player that I like because he's just, I liked him since he was in Memphis. I'm hoping he can start the beginning of the season and have an injury-free season. The last time he had a full season was 2011, his MVP season, and people saying he was the best point guard. People saying he was the best point guard. He was the best. People trying to say he was the best player in the league. And you know, people don't say it. LeBron's been the best player in the league since 2010. Mm-hmm. People saying he was the best player in the league, and the point guard meter was like this. D Rose was up here, everyone else was down here. Now it's like he's down from everybody. So if he can stay healthy, I think he will be in the top 10. Like he's in the top 10 now. I think he's like, I don't think he's top 5, even healthy, because he just gets hurt too much.
Top 5 point guard or player?
Top 5 point guard. I don't think he's a top 5 point guard.
Okay.
I hate to say that. I'll try to go over it. Curry, he's not better than Curry now. He's not better than Westbrook. He's not better than John Wall. Okay, I'd say he's better than Kyle Lowry. Okay, he's number 5 because I got Kyrie Irving at number 4. And Derrick Rose is number 5.
So I mean Chris Paul not your top.
Chris Paul. I'm sorry, I forget Chris Paul. See, Derrick Rose is not my top 5 right now.
So Kyrie better than Derrick Rose.
I say Kyrie's better than him right now. Right now, I think Kyrie Irving. He dominated Kyrie Irving in the preseason last year, but during the season,
the playoffs last year?
in the playoffs, he wasn't dominating Kyrie.
What was Kyrie doing? Kyrie didn't do anything.
Kyrie did have some good games versus the Bulls. They was eating each other out. That's what I'm saying. Like Derrick Rose wasn't dominating him. That's what I'm saying. And Kyrie's going to be injured too, so I'm not going to get on Derrick Rose's case, but I don't see him at top 5 right now because his injuries is just keeping him back. And then when he come back, he plays timid. His percentage was terrible. He would shoot too many threes. So Derrick Rose, I'm a big Derrick Rose fan, but he has to show up. He has to show up, and I hope he have a good season. But I'm going to predict if he's healthy, he's going to be back in the top 3 conversation because Derrick Rose is a talent.
To me, I'm expecting Derrick Rose to play 65 plus games, and if he do that, what you're talking about is nonsense. He's easily top 5, maybe top 3 when he's fully.
So who you got to bet? You think?
I think Westbrook is the best point guard in the league. Curry number 2, Rose is number 3, and I think Rose.
I got Chris Paul better than Derrick Rose right now.
Chris Paul number 4 and John Wall number 5. The reason I don't get Chris Paul better than Derrick Rose is because I see too many games where Chris Paul I just don't see him take over enough. I see him he don't take over enough where the Clippers are put over the top because of him. He might have maybe about 5 to 10 of those games out of 82-game season. But if Chris Paul, and that's why the Clippers struggle to me, he don't take over enough. I'm expecting Rose. When he hit his MVP season in 2010, 2011, he took over games because Noah missed games that year, Boozer missed games that year, his 2 best players.
Yeah, he was the best point guard by far. He was the best player in the league that year.
And last year, I saw glimpses of that. You look at the series versus the Bucks. To be honest, you couldn't find Jimmy Butler anywhere. And people laugh at me when I say this. The Bucks are an up-and-coming team, and Derrick Rose put that series away. And then when they played the Cavs, to me, Derrick Rose was doing good. It's just his supporting cast had Paul Gasol, got point back Tristan Thompson. Once the Cavs started using him, Jimmy Butler was a no-show, guarding LeBron, plus on the offensive end. So people say that Kyrie outplayed him, but Kyrie had LeBron to fall back on. People forget that J.R. Smith had a big series that series. D. Rose did it all pretty much.
Yeah, J.R. Smith had a good series.
D. Rose did it all pretty much to me by himself versus a Cavs team that some people didn't feel that was that good, but that's what I'm telling people about the Warriors. The Cavs last year, they beat the best team in the playoffs when they beat the Bulls because the Bulls was the deepest team from 1 to 8. You know, 1 to 8, how many people they play.
I disagree. It was the best team. The best team was the team.
I said the deepest.
The deepest?
The deepest, which means they could go.
The Warriors was deeper than them.
The Warriors
was deeper
because
than
the
them.
Warriors, they didn't even play their big men in the last 2 games of the finals.
Well, that was just who they were playing.
So what I meant deep is the Bulls had 8 people legitimately that they could play versus any lineup.
But you know the difference is? Tom Thibodeau is too stubborn. Steve Kerr's not stubborn. Steve, you know how most coaches stick with what they get.
You know,
Steve Kerr.
See, I'm sick of people saying that Tom Thibodeau is
he's stubborn.
To me.
But I love Tom Thibodeau.
To me, the Bulls got soft on him. And even Rose, you know, Tom Thibodeau, like he said last year, and this one I'm expecting for Rose. Rose got to stop worrying about the injury because I remember it was one point in the season where Tom Thibodeau was like, he just has to play. You know, he has to play.
Yes.
In the last 3 seasons, Rose has missed 146 games, only played 100 games.
And wait, before we get off this, don't get me wrong. Rose, he can be the best point guard at the end of the season, but I'm just saying, with all his injuries and stuff, and the way he played last year, like he didn't play that good. Like Derrick Rose, he had some good flashes, but he didn't really play as good as he can play. That's why I'm putting him out of the top 5 because I'm a big Derrick Rose fan, so I want to say he's number 1. You know, I was saying he was number 1 for a while, but then now he's starting to get hurt. He has to show up this season. Hopefully I can put him back at number 1. But right now, I have him at number 6.
He's not number 1.
I have him at number 6.
Right now, for my point guard, I got him either 3 or 4. I still got him 3 or 4 because right now I'm not highly sold on some of the point like Kyrie. I'm not sold on him because to me Kyrie is what I call a highlight reel. He got handles. He'll put points up on the board, but is he a real winner? Without LeBron last year, they was what 1-9, 2-9. What did he do without LeBron? So it just makes me think that because the Cavs.
See, don't act like Kyrie's. Don't act like Kyrie's Derek Fisher when he need a superstar to be good.
What I'm saying
Kyrie was an all-star before LeBron got there. Don't forget about that.
I'm not saying he's Derek Fisher. That's disrespectful. Disrespectful to Kyrie. What I'm saying is he was 2-9 without LeBron. The Cavs was a 6 seed when LeBron was even there at the beginning.
But before LeBron got hurt, so the Cavs was 5.
That's what I said. They was a 6 seed.
They wasn't dominating.
But still, they was 6 seed. So what I'm saying, just if LeBron would have went on and missed 40 games, I just feel like the Cavs probably would have got pushed out the playoffs.
I really think without LeBron, the Cavs will make the playoffs. They wouldn't do with LeBron. Of course, they'll go to the finals. But without LeBron, with Kevin Love and Kyrie, I think they could be an 8th seed or 7th seed.
Well, you act like I would agree with you with those 2 players that. And once again, we're getting off topic because it was about D Rose. But I think those are 2 players that I would agree with you if they had been in the playoffs before, but they never been in the playoffs without LeBron. So it's hard for me to say. They got them 2.
We know LeBron is the key factor. I'm just saying I think they would. But my final thoughts on D Rose. I hope he can stay healthy the whole season. I think he can get back to being the best point guard. He just have to not worry about his injuries. And I know he worried about his life and life after basketball, but he's only 26. He has to play what he can play, man. He got MVP before. He was the best point guard in the league, and I hope he get back to that.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like I said, D Rose healthy. I really think he top 3 point guards in the league, and I think he top. I think he go back in the top 5 to 10 players in the NBA when we rank the players. I think, like I said, D Rose played 65 games this year. The Bulls are going to be right there. My whole thing is he needs more help for a team if we're going to say championship level.
He has a lot of help. He has Noah, Gasol, Butler. Like, who do you want him to have?
He needs more consistent help. Jimmy Butler, I'm not sold on any of those people offensively, especially Paul Gasol when they play in rough and rugged places. Noah, we already know
I think he has a lot of help. D Rose just has to he just has to lead that team. And he has to stay healthy.
So you think Jimmy Butler, because people saying Jimmy Butler's a top 3 shooting guard. And that's what I'm saying.
The shooting guards are slim in the league. With Kobe about to retire, Klay Thompson, James Harden, and Jimmy Butler are the 3 best.
And if Jimmy Butler's the number 3 shooting guard, that's what I'm saying. I have an issue.
The NBA is getting worse. That's what I'm saying. But we're going to take a quick break, and then when we get back, we're going to talk about one more basketball topic. Allen Iverson going to the Hall of Fame. Do we disagree or agree with that? Then we're going to finish up with some NFL talk. We'll be right back.
Shooting guard Allen Iverson, one of the greatest shooting guards at undersized, 6 feet, is eligible for the Hall of Fame this year. That means if he get accepted, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer. Most people are saying they don't think Iverson deserves to be a first ballot Hall of Famer because he has no rings. He was a head case. He wasn't a good role model or a good example. Do you believe Iverson should be first ballot Hall of Famer? Minus all the biases, because we know how you felt about Iverson growing up.
Well, of course, he was my favorite player growing up. Then when he retired, it became Kobe. But that's just the most disrespectful thing if people think Allen Iverson should be a Hall of Famer. If that's the case, a lot of people should be in a Hall of Fame with no rings. No rings don't mean you're not a Hall of Famer. No rings, that talk get more of like, how great are you? Can you lead a team? Allen Iverson has 6 seasons with averaging 30 points a game. Not too many players did that. Allen Iverson averaged 33 points a game his last season with Philadelphia. His last 4 seasons with Philadelphia, averaged 30 points a game at 31 years old. He went to the finals with one of the worst NBA finals. I think it's the worst NBA finals team ever. I'm not gonna name the roster off. That's for another day. But he went to the finals with the worst NBA finals roster ever, in my opinion. This man, Allen Iverson. Now, I'm not gonna say just because he's a culture changer, but he was a culture changer in the NBA. He got Rookie of the Year, MVP, 4 scoring titles. He was on All-NBA First Team numerous times, on an All-Star numerous times. How can you not put this man in the Hall of Fame? But Like, what do you think? I think I know what you're going to say, but go ahead. Let me hear.
I mean, I agree. Iverson should be a first ballot Hall of Famer because on the court, what he did on, he was a beast. Won 4 scoring titles. He already got more scoring titles than the great LeBron James and more than Kobe. Iverson also, played started 901 and 914 games in his career, so he had longevity. And people talk about injuries. This man played through all injuries. So I agree. Iverson won, the steals title 5-6 years in a row. So I think Iverson should be a first ballot Hall of Famer. My whole thing is I just would have liked to see him get to more than one NBA Finals, because I think his best team when he was with Melo with the Nuggets, the way they disappointed or the way they didn't meet expectations, that was a knock on them.
Carmelo was young too.
Yeah, but Melo then, a couple years after that, he made his first conference finals. So
they had a veteran point guard, Chauncey Billups.
But Iverson was a veteran then.
I learned a veteran.
But Iverson become later on in his career, I would like to see Iverson take that next step.
But Chauncey Billups was a champion, and Chauncey Billups was more of a point guard leader. Allen Iverson was more of a scorer with them.
But Iverson had already been more of a leader than Chauncey Billups because in 2001 he led that team.
I know, but Chauncey Billups is a different type of leader though. It's 2 types of leader. Chauncey Billups was a point guard. Allen Iverson don't forget he was a scoring point guard. It's just different.
My thing is he's still, when I say lead, I don't mean lead by like you got to have 10 assists.
Chauncey Billups led the Pistons as a point guard. Allen Iverson led the Sixers as a shooting guard. He was a leader who could score.
So what? Kobe's a shooting guard leader. When I'm talking about a leader,
I know I
meant the leader is the person when you look at the team's wins.
Yeah.
You be like, oh, the leader is the reason why they did X, Y, and Z. Iverson was the leader of that 01 team, regardless if you want to say he was a shooting point guard or he was.
But let me tell you the difference. The reason I'm saying this is because the Nuggets had Melo as a scorer. You can't have Iverson and Melo on the same team when they both trying to score. So that's what I'm saying.
And I disagree.
They needed a point guard.
My thing is Durant and Westbrook score. Durant is the leader though. My thing is this is what I tell people. Steve Nash for years was a floor general, never made the finals. So to me, being a floor general leader does nothing for you because sometimes it does. It all just depends on the team.
Chauncey Billups defensively, he's better than Iverson.
On the ball.
That's what you need. Allen Iverson was
Iverson
gets steals, but his steals lower.
You got to know what Iverson is at on the court because Iverson didn't only get steals on his man or on opposing man. Iverson would get steals. He would sneak down, steal it from the center.
Yes.
So a player like that, you got to worry about him.
But Chauncey Billups was, like you said, on the ball defensively. That's actually better for a playoff team. You're not getting steals in the playoffs like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying
Iverson was getting steals in the playoffs like that.
I would like to see Iverson lead with that team with Melo and them a little bit more because you don't have. And first off, even Melo, he didn't have to do as much as he had to do with the Sixers. That's one thing. We upgraded Iverson for what he had to do with that weak Sixers team, but the same thing we did for LeBron in 07, what he did for the Cavs. When he got to the Heat, he didn't have to do as much. He just had to still do what he did but be relevant, and that's why I wish Iverson would have did more because he was too great to only get to the finals once. He should have got to the finals a little bit more to me.
No, I agree. I agree.
But also that's on the Sixers because they should have got him a little bit more help too because that was where he spent the bulk of his career.
Yeah, he didn't have no help in Philly.
I just think when he went to Denver out west, that was a chance for Iverson, an older Iverson, to show these younger players what he had already been through. Because even though Melo was a little younger, that Denver Nuggets team was miles better than his old one.
But I just don't. Iverson towards the end of his career, I just wanted him. I wanted him to be a better leader.
Was both top 5
as you get older, you got to become a better leader. Iverson, when he was young, he was a leader of the team. Like he was a scorer, he was young. But to me, as he got older, he should have been more on the point guard side, like a Magic Johnson type leader, like being a point guard instead of wanting to score. Because Iverson had the ability to be a point guard, but he still wanted to score with Melo. So that's why I think they did.
See, my thing is when people say. Like people say Westbrook, he scores a lot. I don't get into talking want to be a point guard.
Don't forget Westbrook's still young too right now.
My thing is when you say want to be a point guard, my whole thing is like if your point guard can score, by all means, Damian, you score. You know, if that's what makes your team more dynamic, that's what makes it more dynamic.
I agree with that, but as you get older, though, like Iverson with Denver, don't take as many shots and stuff as a point guard. What I'm saying is if you're a shooting guard, take shots. Like Kobe, can shoot the ball, but Iverson should have been more of a distributor and stuff.
It was more him and Melo. You know, they really didn't have any, Nene was there, but they really didn't have any bigs to get a ball to. So
I agree with you. Point guards can score, but Iverson, to me, should have let Melo do the scoring like Westbrook. To me, when he gets 30, 31, if he's still with Durant, he should let Durant do more scoring, and he score at different points of the game and be more of a distributor point guard. And Westbrook's showing he can do that.
Wouldn't that mean you tailoring your game down? Because to me, Iverson, one of his scoring, what I'm saying is it was his leadership factor. what I say his leadership factor, like his scoring could have still got him there, but to me it seemed like that Nuggets team, they were just content with scoring like over 100 points.
But don't forget,
and they was content with
him and Melo was
both in the top five of scoring.
Yeah, him and Melo was, they wasn't fighting literally, but they was fighting over shots, like one possession Melo shoot,
so
then
what
one
I'm
possession
saying
Iverson to
is,
shoot.
maybe if it had nothing to do with him being a shooting point guard, what I'm saying is maybe if it was the mentality, because people have questioned Melo about only wanting to get stats and not wanting to win. But that's another topic for another day. But I think Iverson should be a first ballot Hall of Famer because what he did in the game, and I would say he's probably to me the greatest player under 6'3" that I've seen.
I would agree with you. It'll be between him and Isaiah. You have like Nate Archibald, but I would have to say Iverson. But
and to move on from the association to the NFL. So right now through the NFL, we are through 5 games, about to be game number 6. So we through the first quarter of the season, and right now we got 4 players that's standing out between Tom Brady, Andy Dalton, Julio Jones, and Aaron Rodgers. Out of them 4 players, if you head to today, choose an NFL MVP early season, who is your early season MVP between those 4?
before I pick quick, I would just give my opinion. I don't really like early season MVPs because some players dominate at the beginning of the year. Some players are hot. I like to see you in the 12th and 13th week because that's when teams starting to get good and that's when injuries start happening. I know. That's why I don't like giving them. But here we go. I'm going to have to go with my man Brady. And I know Andy Dalton is playing good. He has the most yards out of them. He's thrown for 1,500 yards, 11 touchdowns, and 2 picks, 67%. But I'm going to go with Brady because he's at 72%, 1,300 yards, and 11 touchdowns with 1 less game than them. And they're just blowing people out. They are blowing people out. And Brady has the highest percentage of his career so far in a single season. And if he can keep this up, I think he's going to get his third MVP. And Aaron Rodgers is right there also. I'm going to put him up there. He threw his first 2 picks of the season, but he's up there. And Julio, a wide receiver's not going to get it, so I will scratch his name out because they're not going to give it to a receiver.
What I'm saying is, I like what you said with Brady and all, but to me, the reason I don't give it to Brady, Rodgers, or Dalton right now is because all their stats look pretty similar. It's like splitting hairs. The only difference I say that you could take between one of them 3 quarterbacks is you could say Dalton's had a little bit of a harder schedule up to this point, more than Rodgers and Brady, so you can give it to him. But then again, do you want to give an MVP to Dalton? Then he performs in the playoffs and do what he do. Right now,
I still think Brady's playing better than Dalton.
I would say right now, to me, if you look at to me, MVP is most valuable. To me, this is what I look at MVP as: most valuable to their team, but in football, kind of most valuable to your team / position. So, like for instance, you look at all other quarterbacks in the league, like we just named Brady, Rodgers, and Dalton. They all split hairs. You look at Julio compared to other receivers; it's not even.
I know, but be honest.
So right now, Julio Jones, to me,
they're not giving it to another position.
I understand what you're saying, but what I'm saying is maybe it's time that we think about them giving it to another position because week in and week out, if you watch Falcons games, Julio Jones be having like the catch he had versus the Giants that everybody's still talking about. He had 3 people on him. He had a linebacker underneath him, a safety over top of him, and a corner trailing him. I'm just saying Julio Jones face about every week he faces 2 men. And he's still having like 12 catches for 100.
I agree with you. That's why J.J. Watt should have got MVP last year.
Yeah, but J.J. Watt did it. And one thing J.J. Watt was 9-7, didn't make playoffs. Julio is 5-0. If you could argue, if we take Julio out that lineup, then how would
you can say that? See, you can say that about a lot of teams. Because if you take Aaron Rodgers out, would the Packers even be good?
We're not talking about quarterbacks. We're not talking about quarterbacks because everybody understand that this is a quarterback league.
Okay.
That if you don't have a backup quarterback, you're going to struggle. What I'm simply saying is, even if you have your quarterback in place with the Falcons right now, if you take Julio out, you see last week Julio wasn't as effective because he was injured. They barely beat the Redskins. When Julio is clicking on all cylinders, that offense, not only is they clicking, look at what Devontae Freeman is doing because of Julio Jones, the attention he's getting.
I know, but
Devontae Freeman is rushing for 140, 130 yards because gaps and lanes is open because safeties, they ain't worried about the running game in Atlanta. They ain't worried about Julio Jones. The linebackers are even worried about Julio Jones. When you play Seattle or when you play Atlanta, I guarantee when the defense had a meeting, they say just stop number 11, Julio Jones, and everything else will take care of itself.
See, I'm being realistic though. The NFL's not giving it to a receiver unless he gets like 25 touchdowns.
Through 5 games, he has 43 catches. What I'm saying is a receiver can get it if he breaks Antonio Brown's record for 129 catches, and this man have over right now he have 545 yards. That means if he for the first half of the season, that means if he do that every quarter of the season for 4 quarters, that means you don't have over 2,000 receiving yards 130 eye catches, and you telling me that you said they're not giving it to a receiver. A receiver's never had those stats. That's Madden type stats. Dude he on pace to having 20 tutties.
But let me tell you this, to show you how biased the NFL is against.
130 catches.
They are biased to quarterbacks. Let me tell you, since 2000, there has been 12 quarterbacks who won MVP, and only the other position. Can you guess the other position who got the other 4 since 2000? No, the other position, running back. It's been 4 running backs and 12 quarterbacks.
Okay, but
since
also look at it too.
2000.
One thing Julio got going on side, they 5-0. With this week schedule they got coming up, after Thursday they're gonna be 6-0.
And he's going to slow down. Julio's going to slow down.
How?
I don't see Rodgers and Brady slowing down.
I don't see Julio slowing down. Look at the schedule for them. Tampa Bay. Who they gonna stop?
The difference is Julio can't control the game like a quarterback can. Julio needs someone to pass it to him. Rodgers and Brady controls the game.
It don't matter. Julio gonna control the game because what I'm saying is, look, they play the 49ers. What corner's gonna stop him? What do they defense? Who do the 49ers scare now? And then you talking about Tampa Bay, like Matt Ryan, dude, Julio finna snap these next few games.
He's having a great season, but first quarter MVP, I'm going to give it to a quarterback. Just because I know the NFL is just not going to give it to a receiver unless he's having a great.
And all these teams are undefeated too.
Yeah.
And you can say what I'm saying is Julio. And a big stat for me is this: it's not Julio catches. He got 197 yards after the catch, which means that when this dude catch the ball, he's not going down. The next receiver, I was looking up earlier. The next receiver with yards after catch, I think he had like 92.
Yeah.
He has over almost more yards after catch.
I'm hoping to keep this up. I want to see a receiver get
when the dude
MVP.
get the ball in his hands, so that's another scary part. If he catch a slant, it ain't just a 5-yard run. It might be a 95-yard touchdown.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm hoping he keep this up. I want to see receiving MVP and just get some continuity in this league.
But if Brady's still on his tier, I mean, I think, like I said, to me,
don't disrespect Rodgers either.
Brady and Rodgers, they've had the soft part of their schedule. Now Brady finna get
Seattle's soft part, even though they 2-3, but Seattle still.
To me, Seattle, they started off 0-3. That was the soft part of their schedule. They wasn't. We can't be saying Seattle's on their schedule and think about Seattle from the last 2 years.
Yeah, you're right.
We're talking about Seattle these first.
But Rodgers having a good year. 13 touchdowns, only 2 picks.
I look at a few Packers games and I don't see Rodgers. People like when I'm talking about MVP. MVP to me, they dominate the game. I watched the game last week versus the Rams. The Packers didn't really dominate that game. It was a stalemate for a long time.
Defensively.
It was a stalemate at the score for a long time. He had that versus the Bears. Like, yeah, he threw 3 touchdowns versus the Bears, but that game at halftime, it was 17-16.
And he threw 5 touchdowns versus the Chiefs.
Yeah, but the Chiefs, the Chiefs ain't what we expected. At least not what I expected.
You expected. I told you they were going to be weak this year.
So what I'm saying with Aaron Rodgers, yeah, his numbers are doing good, but when you watch the games, like I'm saying, Julio is dominating. When I'm watching the games, Tom Brady, he's dominating. Andy Dalton and Aaron Rodgers, they're doing good, but they're not. Dalton had to come back from 20 just to beat Seattle.
Okay, so I got Brady so far, and you get Julio. Before we leave today, let's do our prediction for tomorrow's game. It's going to be on our Facebook page. So I'll go through my pick. I picked New Orleans 31-27. I think New Orleans will win tomorrow at home. Atlanta's bound to lose a game. They're not. I don't think they're going to win in the Superdome on a roll. Quickly, who do you got? And put it on Facebook tomorrow.
I will put it on Facebook, of course, but I got Atlanta 28-23. Just think the Saints, they struggling to score. Drew Brees ain't Drew Brees. I mean, if Drew Brees keep this up, he ain't gonna no longer be elite. But I got Atlanta 28-23. Because like I told you. I just think even though Julio not 100, he like 80%. I don't see New Orleans being able to stop him tomorrow.
And plus Freeman's doing good, but that's gonna be my upset pick of the week. I'm going to pick my upset pick of the week, and you need to gain the game on me.
My upset pick of the week, I think my Broncos may be in trouble versus Cleveland this week because Cleveland got D. So we'll see.
We'll do our predictions, but we're going to get out of here today. If you want to reach us at sports247 on Twitter, and our Facebook page is Brotherly Differences. Do you have anything else to say before we leave, Roger?
No, just be ready for the next show because I'm going to continue to expose my older brother here.
And also, talk on the YouTube page. You can comment on our page and talk about what topics we want to talk about. Hit us up on Twitter or Facebook, and we will discuss those topics. We can have debates of who's the greatest at this and that. We'll see you guys at our next show. Have a good night.